Okay, guys. Let me lower that. Okay, so I will not be able to be in with you guys tomorrow, so unfortunately, due to my little buddy here. So I wanted to go over this poetry prompt with you again so that you can write your draft. Okay, so looking at the prompt, once again, you're being asked to write a well-organized essay in which you explain how the poet conveys not just a literal description of picking blackberries, but a deeper understanding of the whole experience. And then they mention such elements as diction, imagery, metaphor, rhyme, rhythm, and form. Now, if we were to separate these two, diction, imagery, and metaphor would be considered content, and rhyme, rhythm, and form would be considered structure. And if we remember, way back in the beginning of the year, I told you, well, the beginning of the unit, I should say, I told you guys that form plus content plus author's purpose or theme equals strong analysis. Okay, so we talked a little bit about this before, some of the possible themes that you could make of this poem. Youth and age, life and death, desire and death, lust and greed, hope and disappointment. Or you can come up with your own if you find something that you think is more compelling. And you want to create a strong thesis statement. And in your thesis statement, you should always have the author's name, the title of the poem. Then you're going to include any form and content terms that you're going to analyze, plus your deeper meaning or theme that you're going to explore. So let's go quickly through just a few of the comments that I made here on the poem. So organizationally, if I were writing this essay, I would probably organize the essay into two body paragraphs. The first body paragraph would tackle the first stanza, and the second body paragraph would tackle the second stanza. And then within each of those body paragraphs, I would refer to both form and content for that stanza. So if we look at the first stanza, I highlighted a few sections. Now, I would not quote all of this, definitely not. But I did give a comment here. So this first one that I highlighted, there's a lot of imagery in here that he uses to describe the berries. And I would call the imagery that he has here visceral because it's appealing both, visually and to taste. It's also it's really vivid. And I used the word visceral because some of the wording, some of the word choices that he makes really kind of relate to that idea of flesh and body and blood, right? So a glossy purple clot, the flesh was sweet, like thickened wine, which is, of course, a simile. Summer's blood was in it, which is a metaphor. All of these are really both sensual, and they also evoke religious ideas, right? If you think of the flesh and blood, the body and blood, or the bread and wine, right, that Christianity uses to symbolize Christ. And so you can certainly tie that into a deeper meaning. The second section that I highlighted, we trekked and picked until the cans were full, until the tinkling bottom had been covered with green ones. So again, the green ones are the green berries or the unripe berries, and on top, the big dark blobs. So obviously, these youthful berry pickers are so eager and hungry for the fruit that they pick them all, even the green unripe ones, even to the detriment of to their own hands, which is the last two lines of that stanza. Our hands were peppered with thorn pricks, our palms sticky as bluebeards. The thorn pricks could also go back to that Christ-like imagery. This is interesting, our palms sticky as bluebeards. Bluebeard was a pirate. I think it was a pirate. To be honest, I'm not totally familiar, but I vaguely recall the story, and I think he was responsible for killing his wife or something like that. So to compare your palms to being as sticky as Bluebeard's is referring to blood, which is, very visceral. So this first stanza, in terms of deeper meaning, right, it's all about the ripeness of the fruit, which relates to that idea of youth, which relates to that idea of desire, which relates to that idea of, lust and greed. Um, and then the second stanza, right, then changes. So there's definitely a shift where we have this break between the two stanzas. We hoarded the fresh berries. So, again, this idea of greed, gluttony, hoarding the berries, but the berries become rotten because there's just too much of them, right? And they're getting old, right? Once they're picked, then they're going to die. So that idea of life and death, right? Once we are born, we begin to die. Again, the wording of hoarded, then the imagery of rat gray fungus, the idea of glutting on our cash. Again, glutting kind of reminiscent of that idea of gluttony. The juice was stinking, the fruit fermented, the sweet flesh would turn sour. All a lot of imagery and very, very visceral, evocative. Um, cannot stop anything from happening. You cannot stop life from happening. You cannot stop death from happening. Cannot stop things from changing. And then those final three lines, I always felt like crying. It wasn't fair that all the lovely canfuls smelt of rot. Each year I hoped they'd keep and knew they would not, right? Life is not fair. Again, like we've said, death is not fair. But he keeps his hopefulness. So that's something that you can then relate back to that deeper meaning and his purpose. And I've just put a note here. The sad reality is that the speaker could not stop the berries from growing old and moldy any more than, we can stop ourselves from aging, that we can stop, our lives from changing, that we can stop death. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to attack this essay. Please write your draft and I'll take a look at them on Monday. It's just good practice. Even if you can't do, the entire essay, if you just do at least the body paragraphs, right? Do the abbreviated essay. And then next week we'll look at the other two prompts, and then Wednesday you will take the exam. So have a great weekend. Good luck. Message me if you need anything. I'll try to check in. Okay, thanks.